Hi everyone, good morning, good morning. Happy New Year to you. I hope you are enjoying the New Year so far and it's all going well. Here we are here again from Depth Foundation. My name is Abuchi Okaro and I am the founder of Depth Foundation, an organization that have taken up the responsibility to bring back the original intended messages in the Bible. That's what we do at Depth Foundation. We basically shine the light on the path of your true God self realization, realizing the divinity in you. That's what we do. So we decided to hold this lecture today. Our lectures is always every Sunday at 9 a.m. on the approved social media platforms, Genti Facebook page, and obviously we also use the Genti YouTube channel. So these are the two approved for now social media platform where we put out Depth Foundation lectures. Okay, so as I mentioned, we always hold our lectures every Sunday at 9 a.m. Okay, so don't miss it. Always join us. Come to hear what we know and what works. Okay, what we are teaching in Depth Foundation are the things that have worked for us. Okay, so we are not teaching something that is uncertain or maybe guessing and all of. We're teaching things that have worked for us based on our understanding of the true and original meanings of every messaging that is contained in the Bible as delivered there by the illuminated mystics who wrote the Bible. Okay, and we always say those illuminated mystics, who you can call enlightened people who have experienced enlightenment, which is the peak of spirituality. Okay, they are past masters of the art of psychology. Okay, and that's why they gabbed the Bible as a contemporary history. Okay, but the messaging, the deeper messaging, is basically the psychological dramas taking place in your consciousness. And your consciousness is the foundation out of which all things are built. Okay, all things spring forth from it, good, bad, indifferent. Okay, and this is what was personified in the Bible as Jehovah. Okay, Jod he vo he. I'm going to still teach the true, the actual meaning of that word Jod he vo he, that is being called Jehovah and then Anglicanized as God. Okay, so that's your consciousness. Okay, the changeless principle, the impersonal principle, that is what is personified as God in the Bible, is responsible for all of the experiences you've had in the past, the one you're having now, and the one you're going to have tomorrow. Okay, so this is the basis of our teaching, letting you know that the Bible is the greatest psychological book, at least one of the, because there are also different books that have been written, that guides humanity to enlightenment. So it is the greatest one of the greatest psychological books that have ever been written. And all the authors, yes, all the authors and all the characters in the Bible are the personified different attributes of your consciousness, which is a changeless principle. Okay? It's the beginning and the end. It is the Alpha and Omega. It is the foundation stone. It is the chief cornerstone. It is the door. It is the truth. It is what is God. It is what is Christ. And all of this is you. So basically at this level, you are a God. You have become God. God incarnated as you. And everything, not just you, both animate and inanimate objects, they are all manifestation of this changeless principle. I know this is what some people will call heresy. He's teaching heresy, or there's a devil in him and all of those things. Well, what we are teaching, we are now saying, if we tell you this is it, we have presented our position on all of these things, go and test it. Disprove it by testing it. Are you the one shaping everything in your visible world, in your physical world, in this third dimension? Go and test it. Use all of the things that we have taught about how you have been creating all your world experiences. Use them, test it, and disprove it. If it doesn't work for you, drop it. But if it works, then it means there is something there. And then you need to understand where we are coming from. Okay? Now, again, I always say this, I'm not a pastor, neither am I a motivational speaker. What we basically do, the work we do at Depth Foundation, is to bring your attention back to the power that is lying within you. You are not just a piece of thing here perambulating on earth. You're actually a God walking on earth here. But you're suffering amnesia now. There's a veil that has been put on you. You don't know that that's who you are. But your journey here is to realize your true self. And once this is done, you have come to the journey. That's why the Bible says, I've fought the good fight, blah, blah, blah. Those kind of things. So we use the Bible because the Bible are not... So everything in the Bible, the allegories, the parables, all of the teachings are the psychological dramas that is taking place within you. So you need to be exposed. There's a need for this deeper true meaning, which is psychological in nature, to be exposed to you before the Bible can start making sense, so that all of this confusion that you experience in the Christendom, you begin to get answers to them. You begin to know the true meanings of everything and how it is playing out inside of you. So let me not stress that much. I always talk about this before I start any of the lectures. So you can go to our approved social media channel. That's mainly the Guarantee Facebook page. You see all our videos, all our teachings so far. Then you can also go to, if you want to have full, recorded lectures for the different lectures we have had. We have, done, you can go to our YouTube channel on Gente YouTube channel. Then on Sundays, we hold our lecture. We hold our classes on Sundays at 9 a.m. You can always join us every Sunday. If you didn't go to your church, okay, if you didn't go to your mosque, if you didn't go to wherever is your worship center and you are home, you can just tune in, just jump on the Gente Facebook platform page and listen, keep an open mind and listen to what we are bringing forth. And then put it side by side with what you have been learning and make the judgment yourself. But in making that judgment, we always say you should test it, test what we are bringing forth, and then let's disprove it by it working for you or not working for you. So back to what I'm trying to say, back to the topic. So today we are dealing with goal setting, dwelling place, and goal setting. So the two key words for this lecture is dwelling. Where do you dwell in? And the goal you set. Now, this topic is relevant, especially because we have got into the new year, and you see a lot of people all over the world setting different new year goals. Okay, people are setting different goals, and it's But the reason why we want to teach this is so that you don't fall victim of your past goals that you did not achieve. You just set up the goal and that's it. Okay, so one thing that is common with humanity is perpetual construction and deferred occupants. What do I mean by perpetual construction and deferred occupants? People set goals endlessly, always planning, developing, doing this. But they never live in their goal. They never occupy, they never dwell in it. And this is the only reason why 90% of all the goals you set from when you became conscious of setting goals for New Year, you have not been achieving them. That's the essence of this lesson today. Okay, now let's start by going to first of all again establish why we have told you that your consciousness which dwells in you is the Christ of the Bible. It is the God of the Bible. It is the Joshua of the Bible. It is the David of the Bible. It was represented with different characters in the Bible. But let's just do you can watch our past video, you will see how we have proof it to you. But let's just do a quick proof because it is this consciousness that will determine whether you experience those goals you have set for the new year or not. Listen, one thing that I know and that I know that you know is that, just like one of my lecturers back in those days, so this woman was teaching us Chem, I think, was that Chem 101 or Chem 102? I guess it was Chem 102 in Futo those days. And whenever this woman is teaching us, she will face the blackboard. She never faces us and looks at us. No, she just faces the board and she will be talking and be writing on the board. But 9 times out of 10 times, what you'll be hearing from what she's saying is, I know you know it. I know you know it. I know you know it. So what I'm about to say now is something that I already know you know. The prophecies of your God pastors. At the beginning of each year, especially when you enter every New Year, they begin to release different kinds of prophecies. Okay? And people actually anticipate to hear these prophecies they release. And they tell you this will happen this year, this will happen this year, that will happen this year, and all of those nonsense. Look, the only thing that is responsible for, as I mentioned, your past experiences, your ongoing experiences, and your future experience is your consciousness, of which you are the operant power. It is you who operates what your consciousness radiates on your screen of space. It is not the prophet, it's not your pastor, it's not your GO, it's not nobody, it's not your imam, it's not your what's it called, the prophecy and all of those things. One of them I've actually released. I saw a note on one of the prophecies that was released. Let me see if I can quickly, give me a sec. Let me see if I can quickly find it. Sorry for that. I needed to quickly okay, so one of them has actually released, the biggest of them all, or one of the biggest of them all, 2025. So I saw this on Daily Post. It was published exactly January 1, 2025. And the publisher, as I can see here, is Ifreke Yang. So 2025. So this particular GO is saying a year nobody will forget. Many won't survive it. Okay? It says Adeboye releases prophecies. And I'm here to tell you, we at the foundation are telling you, you do not have nothing to fear. You are the one who shapes your life. You are the one who determines what happens to you. All of the things that have happened to you in the past, the one that is currently happening to you, and the one that would happen to you in the so-called future, you are the one who determines it. In fact, you are in this law of consciousness that we are talking about here. You are the author, you are the director, you are everything. You are the actor, the director, and the author. So you are responsible for any experiences you will have, or you're currently having, or you've had in the past. Do not let anybody deceive you and tell you what would happen to you. You are the operant power of your own life, and you decide what happens to you. And this is why we have taken it upon ourselves to do this, because we know a lot of you will start setting goals, okay? And a lot of prophecies will start, different man of God will start releasing different damning prophecies, putting fears in your heart. Now, let me tell you guys something. This law of consciousness that we teach is something that you have actually been doing unwittingly, unknowingly. It has always been there. It is changeless and it is impersonal. It drives all of those experiences. It's what, springs out all of these experiences you have been having. Whether it be good, whether it be bad, whether it be indifferent, it doesn't matter. So, you have been doing it unwittingly. And if you go watch, like I always recommend that people should go to our YouTube channel, or you can see it on our Facebook channel. Go and look at our video on consciousness and its two aspects, conscious and subconscious, where we describe they are all one, but when it comes to the creative power that you have been using today unwittingly to create the world around you. It appears as though they are two. So we have the conscious level of it. So that conscious level is the realm of logic, is the realm of objectivity, is the realm of reasoning. In the Bible, it was personified as husband. It was personified as master. In the Bible, it was personified as man. Then you then have the subjective consciousness, as a subjective aspect of the consciousness that is called the subconscious. This is the one that was personified in the Bible as the woman. That is the womb of creation. Is the realm of subjectivity. Is the realm that is not selective. It is impersonal. So how does this work? You need to go and watch that video. In fact, I'm not going to, just go to Genti YouTube channel, search for consciousness and its two aspects, conscious and the subconscious, so that you can understand the mechanism on how you have been unwittingly, unknowingly creating the world around you. It has nothing to do with whatever any pastor, GU, and all of those things are telling you. Or even all of the doctrines and all of the teachings of the Christendom. Now, I am not saying that the Christendom is, the truth of the matter is that outside of commercialization, their intention is good, which is for well-being of humankind. But where I disagree with them in their doctrines and their teaching is in the final analysis. And what do I mean by the final analysis? Is the point where they are teaching that God is an entity outside of man. They are teaching, they are worshipping the characters in the Bible as people who lived in time and space. They see the Bible as a contemporary history, not a psychological drama of your consciousness that is within you, gapped in some cases as phallics, in some cases as symbol, in some cases as number, in some cases as contemporary history. During the course of our teachings at the Foundation, we will teach about the Bible. I will come and expose the true nature, like we will teach the different ways the Bible was presented as though they were contemporary history or phallics or symbols or, as though they were contemporary history. But it was contemporary history used in hiding the true message, to preserve it basically, and for it to make sense to you. Because if it was just left in the open, the true meanings were left in the open, people would not see the value of it. That's why the mystics who wrote them disguised them in that way, so that you can search, and then when you find it, it starts revealing itself in you. So why all of these explanations I'm trying to do? A lot of prophecies is already coming out. You have also set your own New Year goal, or you're going to set it. And my teaching doesn't just apply to individuals, it applies to institutions, organizations, both private and public. You have to also use this same principle you're going to learn today to achieve those objectives you're going to set going into this new year. It's all the same thing. It's applicable as far as you are a man walking on this earth. This principle applies to you, and it's what shapes your life here, whether you know about it or you don't know about it. So right now, people have been unwittingly shape their life using this principle, but they are not aware of it. So this is the message the foundation have decided to bring to the fore and teach people about it. Okay, so what should matter to you is what you want. And even by what you want, you already have your desire. Every human being have desires. Every one of us, desire is always there. Desire is actually a good thing. It's actually a gift of consciousness, a gift of God. Because in this world where we live, in this our earthly world, your consciousness is trying to experience that desire through you, and that's why it is a gift from your consciousness. It's a gift from God, because God wants to have that experience, and that's why that desire is there. But you have a role to play as the operant power. You need to give life to that desire. Currently, at the desire level, it is still swimming. It hasn't been betted. You need to bet it, and by betting it is why we have taken it upon ourselves to teach this topic today. So let's go quickly to it, because we have talked a lot. And remember, I said the key word in this topic is dwell. Where are you dwelling? Where do you dwell? As it relates to your goal. You have set up your goal for the year, or you will still set up your goal for the year. It's okay. Your goal is the desire you want to experience, you want to embody. It's an experience you want to have in this your physical world. That's why it is a goal. You have set it up. You want to achieve it. You want to experience it. But as the operant power, there are steps you need to take, and you must take to experience. If not, you won't you won't achieve those desires. You won't achieve those goals. So follow me. Okay, so before we delve deeper into this particular lecture, let us first establish once more how you, a man, is God, and one that has forgotten that he is God. You are just a low-key God here. A God suffering amnesia here. You have forgotten that you are God. The Bible said we are all sons of God. That word they translate sons of God is a compound unit. That's Elohim, is a compound unity. Many in one. And if you go listen to my past lectures, you will hear where I use example of the bubble to explain it. The bubble they blow at weddings and kids used to play. Dip something in soapy water, you blow it, it forms different bubble. Those different bubbles is forming are air trapped from the bigger source air. So they just keep flowing, and when they burst, they just go back to that air. That's just what it is. That's who we are. Those bubbles that sprung forth out of the consciousness that was personified as God of the Bible. And when we are done here, we just burst back. We burst and we go back into that source. So the source may appear different from you. That's why Jesus said, I came from my Father. And he says he will return. He will burst back. He will return. He says, my Father is greater than I. Then he come back and say, I and my Father are one. This description I have just given is explanation to all of those stories that you're hearing. But let's move. If you go to Genesis 1:26, it says, then God said, let us make man or mankind in our image, in our likeness. so that they rule over the fishes in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all creatures that moves along the ground. Okay? So, let's focus on, let us make man in our own image. We need to go and define what that image is. And that image is me, is you, is everything, both inanimate and animate objects that you see. That's that image. Now let's go to Colossians 1:27. It says, to them God chose to make known how great among the Gentiles are the riches of the glory of this mystery, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. Christ is in you. It is the image. Christ is in you. So Genesis 1:26 told us that God said, let's make man in our own image. Then Colossians 1:26 says, Christ is in you. Now go to Colossians 1:15. It says, he is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. He is the image of the invisible God. When we were young, when they were teaching us, they told us that, what they told us is that God created us, made us. That's the teaching in the Christendom, that God created us and we are the image, because God made us in his image and likeness. We, man, okay? They will teach us that we are not God, right? We are man, and God, we are just an image and likeness of God. That's what it is. Then, in Colossians 1:15, the Bible is now saying, he is the image of the invisible God. Christ is saying that Christ is the image of the invisible. So that image that was referred to in Genesis 1:26 is specifying it here in Colossians 1:15 by saying that he is the image of the invisible God and the firstborn of all creation. It means you are Christ. But even Colossians 1:26, to them, God shows basically the glory of this mystery, which is Christ in you. You see that everything is pointing to you as Christ. In Genesis 1:26, God says, let's make man in our image and likeness. In Colossians, it's telling you that that image, that he is the image, the he they are referring to there is Christ, that he is the image of invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. When it comes to the firstborn, the firstborn of all creation, right? Just look at it. It's saying you're the image here, that you are the image of that invisible God. It goes back to my explanation. We are the image of that invisible consciousness that is in us. Everything is the image that sprung forth out of that invisible consciousness. Even some people have described that consciousness as the unmanifested. That invisible here, that's what it's formlessness that then give form to me, the form, everything. And we are not separate from it. It's just like an offshoot. We are not detached from it. The best way to describe it is just everything that you see yourself. It's just that formation, that formlessness, having those different forms to have those experiences. So, he is the image of the what? The invisible God. But let's go again to Galatians 2:20. He said, I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. Again, Christ in you, which was referred to in Colossians as the hope of glory in Galatians is still repeating it, Christ in you. Then go to Galatians 4:19. My children, for whom I am again in pains of childbirth until Christ is formed in me. Everything that is Christ is you. Christ is that image of God. It is you. Man, yes, you. I am. And that formlessness, or what you can call no thing, not nothing, no thing, that's N-O hyphen, then thing, no thing, that's formless, that's unmanifested. That's consciousness. That's what is personified in the Bible as God. And that's where everything springs forth from. That is awareness, unconditioned awareness of being. And it is this consciousness that then is responsible for every life experiences you're having. And as that Christ here, you are the operant power. You are the one that gives life to what you want to experience here as the operant power. So that's why we move in now into understanding dwelling. Because it is only when you dwell in those goals that they can be radiated on your screen of space, and you will have it as an experience in your physical world. That is just what we're trying to lecture you on today. So let's do a deep dive into what dwelling in your New Year goals is. Not just your New Year goals. Once you learn this, apply it to those New Year goals, right? But the moment it has, proved itself in testing, then you would have discovered the treasure that is lying in you all along. So then you will not need anybody, any intermediary, to an outside God that is not existing, basically. You will understand that everything is taking place within you, and you start shaping your life as just like the potter, as you seem good to you. Okay, so now let's move in. John 1:38-39. It says, Then Jesus turned and saw them following, and said unto them, What seek ye? Like, what do you want? They said unto him, Rabbi. Rabbi means master. Where dwelleth you? Where do you dwell? Then he replied, Come, he replied, you will see. Let's end it there. Come. He was asked, where do you dwell? And he says, come, you will see. When so let's literalize it here. When somebody meets you and say, where do you dwell? Where do you live? And you tell the person, come, you will see. What it means is there's a movement. Because when he tells you come, you will now follow and go and see where he dwells. So what I want to take out of here is that where you dwell, there has to be a movement. There's a movement. Even, for example, where you occupy, okay? Maybe your house and all of those, you always move into it. So that come is moving into where you dwell. That's what that signifies. Now, let's take another movement in the Bible to bring it home. Movement is motion, right? Let's take another movement to bring it home. In first statement in Genesis, what was the first statement? What he said, and the Lord God moved. When he moved, what then happened? Creation started. So motion is key to those goals you are setting. And by motion, I mean you need to move into those goals. This is why when I started, I mentioned the problem with humankind is perpetual construction and deferred occupants. They keep on making goals and plans and all of it, but they never ever live in the present moment of those plans. It's always something that should happen in the future. So they defer it. That's why you do not achieve all your goals, because you don't move. Because the moment you move, that's when creation, which is embodying it in your physical world, then happens next. Now let's bring it further home. Where are you living? Where do you dwell? Every night when you go to the bed, what concept do you have last before falling asleep? Every waking day, what concept of yourself do you have? Because that is where you dwell. Wherever you move into in your concept of self, that's where you dwell. And that is the creation. That is what you'll be creating. And the Spirit of God moved, after which they now started telling us the story about creation. So where do you dwell is what concept do you have of yourself? That is what matters. It's not listing those goals. You can list it for all you care. If you're not dwelling in them, if they are not a concept of yourself in the present moment, there's no way you can embody it. And this is the problem everybody has. Everybody have in this world. That's why somebody said if you go to the grave is a hotbed of unrealized desires. The only thing that is making you not embodying that desire that you have is because you are not making it a concept of yourself. You have not moved into it and live it as a present fact today, right here and now, present moment. It's only when you have lived it as a present fact that you then embody it in your physical world. And how do you live it as a present fact? As an operant power, you have been told that the way to start this machine of creation is through belief, faith. And believe, faith, however you want to put it, is simply to say, I am strong. Say, let the weak say, I am strong. You see, life basically is about states. Everybody is in a particular state. And people move from one state to the other. The rich man is in a state. The poor man is in a state. The sick man is in a state. The healthy man is in a state. And people move from one state to the other. So that's where you see he's poor today. He becomes rich tomorrow. He has moved his state. He has moved from the poverty state to the wealthy state. He's healthy today. He's sick tomorrow. He has moved. We keep moving from one state to the other. That is that movement that Jesus talked about. Come and see where I dwell. And then the Spirit of God moved, and then creation started. So to embody anything, to go into any state, so take your goals now as whether it is 5 goals, which is your desire that you want to embody. You need to move into the state of those goals as a present fact now, here and now. Because it's only when you have done that, that you then fashion it into your physical, visible world. That's why you shouldn't even be judgmental. Remember at the 12 disciplines aspect of the mind, or qualities of the mind, that was personified in the Bible as the 12 disciples, Simon, blah, blah, blah. You remember James, the justice, and John, the beloved. Then remember when Christ said, if somebody sinned against you, how long should you, how many times? If you understand that everybody is living in a state, you will be able to judge with love. How does that mean? You see a poor man on the street or whatever, you already know he's in a state. You see a rich man, you already know he's in a state. So when you see those people who are beggars and all of those things, and you begin to judge them, hey, they are not blah, 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 and all of that, those guys are in a state. If you know this law, if you know this principle, that's where you apply your faculty of James and John, which is justice, but beloved justice. Justice is not seeing the qualities of those states the man is exhibiting, because he knows he's in a state and every state has its quality. So he's just exhibiting the quality of that state where he is residing. So your forgiving it is that in your mind's eye, you should see the person in a state that is lovely. In your own mind's eye, you should see that person in a state that is lovely. Actually, that's the way you're going to drag that person out of that state. That's when they told you the number you should forgive is times. The person is missing the mark. He's not living the right thinking life, the righteous life. You can forgive that sin by seeing the person in your mind as he is healthy, he is wealthy. The same thing applies to yourself. You're currently living in a state. Now, that goal that you have set for yourself for this new year is that desire you want to embody. You want to see yourself have that experience. So the way to do it is just like Jesus said, come and see where I dwell. You go and dwell in that desire. That's the way to embody it. And that's what I've been teaching all along. If you go and watch my past video, how do you dwell in a state? It's through belief. Remember, it says when you pray and you believe, that the condition for your prayer to be answered is to believe. Then in another, maybe somewhere around Mark, it says, if you tell this mountain to move and you believe and you not doubt, watch that belief and doubt. That is what decides which state you fall into, or if you'll be able to move out of a state and start living in a new state and start experiencing the qualities of that state. A criminal, a good person, as you describe it, a good, a judge, a carpenter, everybody is living in different states. So, and it is movable. That's why Christ said, come and see where I dwell. Because to go into state, you need to move. So, in fact, people started living in that state because they moved into it. So, because you move into it, you can also move out of it and move into another state. And that is why they said believe. The only way is to believe it is a present fact right now, here and now, this present moment. That's why I say, let the weak say I am strong. That's why he said, look, do not say the harvest remains 4 months to get ripe. Look at the field. It is already ripe. You have to take things that you have defined as your goal, as they are already in your life as a present fact. You're already experiencing it. That's the way all of those goals you have listed for 2025, that's the way you can manifest them into your physical world, by moving and dwelling in them. And it's just through believe, finish. It's not by writing it down and throwing it somewhere before 2-3 months within the year. If it would even be up to a month or even a couple of days, you would have forgotten you made a New Year goal. It means you're not living it right now. Go and look at our last video. We treated the technicalities or the mechanisms of belief, what belief is. So it is belief that helps you make those movements. It's like the fuel that helps you drive into the different places. So how can you practically do this? So let's take one goal, for example, that the goal is that you want to stop smoking, or the goal is that you want to start smoking. Whatever your goal is, first of all, understand that it is a gift of God. It is your consciousness wanting to have that experience. But since your consciousness have indicated this is the desire, it is you who will then use that movement to do the creation. Because before creation, there has to be movement. And that movement is moving into that state and embody it as a present fact here and now. And then it will be created. So to do it, sorry for that breaking transmission. I got a short call, so that I've switched off the line. I'll call the guy later, he's my guy. So the way to move it is you need to know, because again, this is something with the goal that you have written down. If you watch it, it's always linked to an existing problem. It's always a solution to an existing problem. So if the goal is you want to quit smoking, it means that idea is coming from the fact that you're smoking, but this year you want to stop it. If the goal is you want to quit drinking, that idea is coming from the fact that you are drinking and you want to stop it. So now, by setting that goal, you have been able to define, so those your goals are the defined solution to that existing problem you want to go away from. Now I am telling you, you need to dwell in them to embody it. Because if you just go put it down, I want to stop smoking, and that's it, then you're not going to achieve it. You will not manifest it. The only condition to manifest it is to believe it. That's why he said the only condition for your prayer to be answered is to believe it and not to doubt it. And believe is simply embodying it as a present fact right now. That's what believe, the whole story about belief and faith and all of those things, is simply to say just what the Bible said. It said, let the weak say I am strong. Finish. That's the whole story of belief. So it is belief that helps you move into that new state. So the goal here is that you have defined the problem, which is smoking, and the solution is to stop smoking. So that's the goal. It has been defined. So you now want to move from stopping smoking, you now want to move from smoking to stopping it. So you need to believe, you need to embody this, that you have stopped it. And how do you do it? You go in your Bartholomew, one of the disciples that was personified as Bartholomew, which is the quality of your mind, that is the imaginative quality of your mind. In your Bartholomew, you use your power of imagination. This power of imagination is what is personified in the Bible as Christ, your wonderful human imagination. And what is that wonderful human imagination? It is your thinking, feeling loop. So if you just write that goal of quitting smoking down without going inside your imagination, because that's where you need to make the change. And the reason is because everything, your entire physical or visible world, is the reflection of what is inside in your world of imagination. Your entire physical or visible world is just an effect of the cause, which is what is sitting in your imagination. And that is where you are dwelling in your imagination. So, in quitting smoking, in your imagination, have you quitted? That's where you need to quit. That's where the job needs to be done. So practically, how do you do it? You go to the end. Now I'm telling you, I'm going into the deeper technical meaning of belief. And I always like to use, let the weak say I am strong. So what do? You go to the end. How would the weak say he is strong? Is by going to the end, because the end wills the means. So what do? You go to the what? To the end. What do I mean by going to the end? You have decided you will quit smoking. Then the end is, what will be that event that if it takes place, what will be that event that would happen after you have quitted smoking? So as an example, you will see your friends talking about how you stop smoking, discussing it amongst themselves on how you stop smoking. What is that signifying? It is when your friend are discussing about how you stop smoking, it's an indication that you have stopped smoking. But this is in your imagination, right? In your Bartholomew, your faculty of imagination. That's where this whole thing is taking place, not physically. Okay? Because it's only when it has taken place here and it has been impressed on the subconscious that it will be radiated on your screen of space. So you go to the end imaginatively. You will see an event that will play out after you have stopped. Why do you focus on an event that will play out after you have stopped? Because if you're playing events in your imagination of how, of your stopping, it means you are thinking of stopping. But when you play an event after you have stopped, an event that is taking place after you have stopped, it means you're not thinking from. that new state you want to embody. Because an event that takes place after you have achieved that desire is indication, is sure bet that that desire has been battered in your physical world. So that's why you focus on it. So when you're focusing on that event that will take place after you have, what you're doing is you're thinking from it. It means that quitting of smoking is now a present fact in your life, in your imagination. Then you keep doing this until you experience it in your physical world. You don't abandon it, you keep doing it. And that's where Jacob, which is what was personified. So the Jacob in the Bible is actually the internal man. Esau is the external man, the man that focuses on the physical world. Same thing with Cain and Abel. Abel is the internal man. Cain is the one that focuses on the physical world. Watch what happened to both of them. One, the sacrifice was not accepted. The other one lost his birthright. Then those internal ones, which were the second, right? The second child, because the first ones are old, they are the second child, right? Those ones, and it says the second will supplant the first. That second is your thinking, feeling loop. It is what supplants the first, which is the physical Cain and Esau. I just drew this quickly in. We'll treat it as a separate topic so that you can understand that story around Cain and Abel and Esau and Jacob. But what I just wanted to quickly draw out from here and use to explain what I'm explaining is that when you are now thinking from that event that has indicated that you have stopped smoking, you need to persist in it, because that's your persistence. That's when the point where it will then harden into fact and you will embody it in your physical world. That persistence is what was personified in the Bible as Jacob wrestling with the angel. So when you're doing that, you're wrestling with the old thinking, feeling loop. But at the end of the day, if you persist, you will be blessed. So that's that story of Jacob was wrestling with the angel and then said, I will never let you go unless you bless me. That is persistence. That's what that is trying to teach. The same thing with the woman who go to the judge, who is not, obviously based on the description in the Bible, not a good judge. But because the woman insisted, the judge felt that this person is stopping me. Let me give her what she wants. That is, so apart from movements that we have drawn out and used to explain all of this phenomenon, another thing is persistent. So think of that woman in that parable of the judge, and also think of the wrestling of Jacob and the angel. So what that means is you will then allow this event that would occur after you have stopped smoking to then you will allow it to, take over your thinking, feeling loop. You enjoy the thrill of when you saw your friends discussing it, how you stopped smoking. You think of that feeling. So what is happening, what is playing out there is you're mixing thoughts with feeling. That is the only thing that will then that will sow a seed in your subconscious aspect of your consciousness. And once that seed is sown in that womb of creation, whether it be good or bad, it will be radiated. It will grow. It will manifest in your physical world. This is how to set not just a New Year goal, but any desire you want. This is how to embody it. Now, you have been doing this all this while, but you didn't know. Do you know the thinking and feeling loop that has been impressing the current desire that you do not like in your physical world, those unpleasant desires? It was through this same phenomenon. It was through this same process. The difference here is that you were thinking of that thing that probably happened to someone else, or you read somewhere, or it was happening in your environment. So you captured it, because this is a word of senses. You captured it with any of your five senses, and you started thinking of it. And before you knew it, you were attaching emotion of worry. You were attaching emotion of fear. That's why it tells you that your consciousness is impartial. It doesn't matter what you sow. Whatever you sow is what you embody in your physical world. That's why fear is useless, because it continues to reinforce a particular desire a particular problem in your world that you want to change. It continues to reinforce it, because what you're doing, why that problem is still existing, is because you are still keeping attention on it. Just like Lot's wife, you are still turning back, keeping attention on it. It's in the past. It's something that is in the past, but you're still keeping, that's that turn back in the past. You're still keeping your attention on it. So you preserve it. That is that pillar of salt she turned into. And how do you keep your attention on it? By thinking of the problem and mixing it with an emotion of fear, uncertainty, anxiousness, worry, sadness, unhappiness, frustration. Then you have kept on sowing it repeatedly, and it will continue to appear in your physical world. So you need that movement. And now, so you've been dwelling on it, you now need to move and dwell in the one you want to embody, which are, for example, the goals that you have set for the new year. I will leave it here. If you have any question, drop it on the comment section, okay? And we'll take our time to attend to it. Thank you for listening. Don't fail to join us next Sunday at 9 a.m. for our Depth Foundation lectures, okay? If you want to know more about our teaching and how you can learn all of this principle that is taking place within you now to begin to reform and reshape your life as it seemed good to you, just like the potter in the book of Jeremiah, go on our 2 approved social media channel, our Gente Facebook page. You'll see our videos there, our lectures there. You watch it and learn from it. Then our Gente YouTube channel. You go there, you watch the videos and learn from it. This is where we put out all our lectures and all of those things. We also have write-ups on the Facebook page. You can read them, okay? Please don't fail to join us on Sunday at 9 a.m. every Sunday to learn more and more and more about all of these things that we're talking about. Thank you once again for taking your time to listen. I hope that I've been able to teach you something, new here today, and something I would encourage you to try it out and let the trial disprove it. Okay? Have a pleasant day. Enjoy your weekend, and I wish you all the best. Bye.